spiritual path, sadhu, right? And in year 2010, she was exposed to the Abhidhamma and Visuddhimagga. 5 years later, she met Sayalay Susīlā, who has encouraged her to do sharing of the Abhidhamma. A year later, in 2016, she undergo ordination program at the DMC, and she picked up a Buddhist name, Sayalay Vivekanandani, under Sayadaw Agana Mahathira. In 2018, she went to Burma for a retreat under Sayalay Dipankara. Sister Caroline is one of the few teachers in Malaysia who shares the Dhamma, especially the Abhidhamma and the Visuddhimagga in Chinese. So she's also proficient in both English and in Chinese. So another person who is also appointed as a senior student by Sayalay is this young man by the name of Ko Weekend. I think you have seen him during the first class, right? So Brother Ko facilitate Sutta studies and Dhamma discussion, where it's done at the Putra Height Buddhist Society that's in Selangor, Malaysia. And she played a role at the MYTTA and Alliance of Malaysia Buddhist Youth Group. He aspired to build a community of the Dhamma-minded youth. So you can say with people like Ko, the Sasana continue to thrive and flourish. So thank you, Brother Ko, for stepping up to do all this work. So now I would like to ask you to follow me, fold your palm, where we will invite Sayalay to deliver today's lecture. So you recite together with me. Okasa Vandame Aya Dutiyampi Okasa Vandame Aya Tatiyampi Okasa Vandame Aya Sa. All right, I will stop sharing and then we welcome Sayalay. Is Sayalay here?
Yes. Can you hear me?
You have to open your video.
Yes, we can.
Already open, right?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. We met again. Suki Hontu, sister and brother in the Dhamma.
Sayalay, you want to take some question from the previous class?
Yes.
Okay.
Please pose the question.
Then I will share the question. Okay. This is from the previous class, which we studied the cognitive process. First question comes from Ong Chi Twain. He asked, may I know Bhavanga under which of the 89 consciousness?
Okay, this is very complicated question, and in fact, this question is under cognitive process free. Bhavanga is under process free. It should be discussed later. However, since so many people are asking about the Bhavanga, so I think I take this opportunity to explain a little bit. Okay. So let me share the PowerPoint first. Okay. To answer this question, first we must know there are 19 cittas play the function as Bhavanga, rebirth consciousness, and death consciousness. So in order to explain this, it is a little bit complicated. However, please listen carefully. Okay, Bhavanga, the function of Bhavanga is to preserve the continuity of mental stream or consciousness stream throughout one's life from birth to death. Okay, and rebirth consciousness is the first consciousness that arises in one's life inside the mother's womb, and that consciousness plays the function of passing away from one existence. So Bhavanga, rebirth consciousness, and that consciousness are the same consciousness, but different name. Just like me, I am now Sayalay Susīlā, right? But if I go back to my mother's, I go to my mother's, my mother wouldn't call me Sayalay Susīlā. He called me my family, she called me my family name, right? And when I in different situation, I may have different name, okay? But actually, I'm the same person who got different names. Okay. Similarly, Bhavanga, when it plays the function of preserving the continuity of mental stream, then its name is called Bhavanga. When it plays the function of arising from one existence at the first place, and it's called rebirth consciousness. And when it plays the function of passing away from one existence, it is called death consciousness. But they are the same consciousness, playing different function at different times. Okay? And Bhavanga, rebirth consciousness, and death consciousness take what object? As we know, all consciousness, the intrinsic nature or characteristic of consciousness is to be aware of an object, right? So Bhavanga, rebirth consciousness, and death consciousness takes what object? Why we are not aware of object of Bhavanga? Like I consciousness can aware of the visible form. Ear consciousness can aware of the sound. But Bhavanga consciousness takes what objects, right? This is under cognitive process free. It's not under the chapter 4. However, because so many people ask, therefore I explain to you, and I will explain this later again. Okay, so Bhavanga takes previous life, previous life before a person die. In him, there is a cognitive process called near-death cognitive process. The near-death cognitive process take one object. That object can be karma. Let's say karma. So take that object. Then after that, this person pass away. So when this person arrive in a new existence, his rebirth consciousness also take that karma as object. And his Bhavanga also takes that karma, previous life object as object. And his death consciousness also take same karma as object. Why they take the same object? Because they are the same consciousness, only playing different function at different times. Okay? Okay, now what consciousness? Bhavanga is under which consciousness? So there are 19 consciousness play the function as Bhavanga, rebirth consciousness, and death consciousness. Okay, what are the 19? Number 1 is one consciousness, one unwholesome resultant investigating consciousness accompanied by neutral feeling. Then you may confuse again. Why the investigating consciousness that happened in a 5-door cognitive process now become Bhavanga, right? please remember, one citta, one consciousness may play different functions. So investigating consciousness, when it arises in the 5-door cognitive process, it plays the function of investigating consciousness only. But sometimes it may play as rebirth consciousness. When a person was reborn in the 4 woeful states, for example, reborn in hell, in animal kingdom, in hungry ghost. So his rebirth consciousness is this, the first consciousness. One unwholesome resulting investigating consciousness accompanied by neutral feeling. So this consciousness will become his rebirth consciousness in 4 woeful states. And this same consciousness will become the Bhavanga consciousness. And this consciousness will become his death consciousness. Okay, this one case. And for those who reborn in human world, but born blind, born deaf, or born handicapped, or some very low spirit, or some very low deva, earthbound earth deva, and so on. Their rebirth consciousness is unwholesome resultant, wholesome number 2. Let me use the pointer. So this okay, so this one means one consciousness, wholesome resultant investigating consciousness accompanied by neutral feeling will become the rebirth consciousness of a person who born in human world as blind person, born blind, born deaf, and born handicapped, and so on. And also it's a rebirth consciousness for earth, the low, very low deva, like earth deva, and so on. Okay, so since rebirth consciousness, Bhavanga, and death consciousness is the same consciousness, therefore this wholesome resultant investigating consciousness accompanied by neutral feeling will become the Bhavanga, rebirth consciousness, and death consciousness of that person who born blind in the human world. Okay, it's a bit complicated. Okay, and for human beings who born as human without any handicap, who born human being or who born as deva, their consciousness, rebirth consciousness, is performed by this one of the 8 sense sphere resultant consciousness, either associated with knowledge or dissociated with knowledge. If, let's say me, I born in human being with the one of the resultant consciousness associated with knowledge, then this consciousness will become my rebirth consciousness, and in between this consciousness will become my Bhavanga in order to preserve the continuity of life stream. Okay, and this consciousness will become my death consciousness as well. And because it's associated with knowledge, therefore my rebirth consciousness is 3-rooted, rooted in non-greed, non-hatred, and non-anger, non-delusion. Okay, However, another person who reborn as a human being, so his rebirth consciousness is also sense sphere resultant consciousness dissociated with knowledge. Then he was born as two roots, the root of non-greed and non-hatred, but without wisdom. And this person is unable to attain jhana and nibbana in this very life. So whenever I talk about, rebirth consciousness, two roots, and many people start to doubt about himself. Oh, whether am I two root or not? Why not? Until now I cannot attain jhana. Am I two roots? Why now still I far away from understanding the Dhamma? Okay. So don't doubt about yourself. As long as you are interested in the Dhamma, I believe you are the three roots. Okay. So, and there's another five material resultant consciousness, and this consciousness will become the rebirth consciousness of the Brahma Deva, Brahma, who born in the Brahma, Brahma being there. Since this consciousness become their rebirth consciousness, it also will become their Bhavanga consciousness as well as death consciousness. Okay. Then the last one, for those who reborn in the Arupa realm, immaterial realm, which that in that realm there's no physical body, so their rebirth consciousness is one of the four, immaterial resultant consciousness. And this immaterial resultant consciousness, either they are base of infinite space, or base of nothingness, or base of neither perception nor non-perception. It will become their rebirth consciousness as well as Bhavanga consciousness as well as death consciousness. Therefore, to answer your question, there are 19 consciousness, or resultant consciousness. Please remember, Bhavanga is resultant consciousness, no karma involved, but it's a result of previous wholesome or unwholesome karma. So there are 19. One is one unwholesome resultant investigating consciousness. Another one is one wholesome resultant investigating consciousness. One is unwholesome, one is wholesome. Another one from another 8 is sense sphere resultant consciousness. Another 5 is 5. So another one is 5 material resultant consciousness. And the last one is 4 immaterial resultant consciousness. I try to speak very slow and make it clear for you to understand. Okay, next question.
Sayalay, you got to unshare.
I got to unshare.
Yeah,
Unshare. Wait, no. Okay.
Okay. Can you see here?
Yes.
Yeah. So this is the second question came from Xiu Fang, Feng Fang. She says, do we need to know this cognitive process, consciousness, etc., to practice Buddhism in our daily life? It is so complicated.
That is very easy question to answer, but I pick up this question because I want to make something clear to you. Abhidhamma is not for beginners, definitely, because it covers so many aspects and it covers all the essence of the Buddha's teaching are all in Abhidhamma. Okay, so it is not necessary to understand cognitive process in minute details. For example, Bhavanga first, then followed by 5-door averting, followed by eye consciousness, by receiving consciousness, by investigating consciousness, by determining consciousness, by 7 jhana, and after that 2 registration. It's not necessary to know all this, but it's necessary to know what are the wholesome consciousness, what are the unwholesome consciousness that are in the jhana, and how all this unwholesome consciousness and wholesome consciousness in the jhana bear its result in this present life, in life after, and along the samsara. And how to change unwholesome consciousness to wholesome consciousness. If you understand all this enough, there's no need to go into minute detail. However, if you are advanced Buddhism, you know Buddhism for a long time, then you may also interested to know the working of the mind, how the mind works and how the mind affect our physical well-beings, and even how the mind affect the whole universe, and how the karma and the mind link together, and how to walk the Noble Eightfold Path more systematically once you understand how the karma works and how the consciousness operates and produce the karma. And also learning all this is also very helpful to understand the sutta, because sutta give very very short very precise and short to certain audience. Buddha gives certain subject to certain audience suitable to their receptivity, to their mental level, the level of their mental development. But for us, we may not understand sutta very well. Therefore, if to understand Abhidhamma is to help you to understand sutta better. And also another important point to learn all this cognitive process and the consciousness and so on, not in minute details, is help you to understand non-self nature of consciousness. Because we strongly grasp consciousness as I, myself, right? I am thinking, I am seeing, I am listening, I am writing. So all the seeing is played by seeing consciousness. Hearing is played by hearing consciousness. And they arise immediately passes away. They are not a self. And they arise depend on condition, cause and conditions. So if you can understand all the cause and condition for the arising of consciousness and the cognitive process, then in your mind stream, the strong I, the strong self, the strong, the wrong view of Sakayaditi or identity view will slowly fade away in your mind, which is very, very helpful in learning Abhidhamma on this point. Okay, so I would like to advise you, if you cannot follow each what I say, it's no problem. And as a speaker, I know what is important, I know what is not important. So I don't go into very detail, but I will emphasize a lot. I will emphasize again and again what is more important for you. It means that I choose for you, right? This is a reason why I don't like to answer certain questions, because I think even you know that not so important for your development in the future. Otherwise, I can answer all your questions, but I don't think it's beneficial for you. So trust me, as a teacher, I know what is important for you. Okay, next question.
Thank you, Sayalay.
Next question.
Yeah. Yes, it's coming up. Next question is this one. I come from Chi Ken from Singapore. He says, when one is conscious of an object, example lotus, for a while, for example, for 3 minutes, is it right to say that the 17 mind movement of the eyes cognitive process occur repeatedly between bhavanga?
Wait. 17, because people also have to read this question carefully before I answer, right? It is true that the I cognitive process occur repeatedly, but okay, let me explain. First arise I cognitive process, then followed by many moments. How many moments of bhavanga we do not know. So followed by many moments of bhavanga, then followed by first mind door cognitive process to see the past object, which I already analyzed to you, and followed by another mind door cognitive process, which knows the how to call, maybe knows the shape, the form, and the name. Then finally, oh, he got it. This is lotus, right? And after that, the I cognitive process may arise again, followed by many mind door. Then after that, the I, because if he keeps on looking at the lotus, then the I consciousness will arise many times in between. But it's not that I consciousness arise, then bhavanga, then I consciousness, then I cognitive process arise, then bhavanga, then I cognitive process, then bhavanga, then I cognitive process. No, it doesn't work in that way. It works in, first you see the lotus, I cognitive process arises, then bhavanga in between, followed by mind door cognitive process. Because it is the mind door that try to figure out what is this visible form. I door only sees the visible object. He doesn't know the shape, the sound, and the name of the object yet. Okay, so in order to see clearly what is the object, so many mind doors will arise to understand what is the object seen. However, in between, they can arise because your eye keeps looking. So in between, they will arise many eye door cognitive process, followed by mind door, many mind door cognitive process. Okay, I hope you understand this. Thank you. Next question.
Okay. Yeah, we go to the next question. Okay, this comes from Neo from Malaysia. So whether like or dislike rise at Javana stage is determined by our past experience. So if we are aware of it before first jhana, can this awareness help to reduce the intensity of like or dislike during the Javana?
This is very good question. This type of question is very helpful. Okay, so to be aware of the first Javana, to be aware first before first Javana is very difficult, right? Very difficult because it's not our habitual way of seeing things. And you must understand, in snap of finger, trillions of consciousness has gone already. So how are we going to stop at the first Javana first, right? So sometimes when we explain, we slow down. So we forgot or you blink your eyes, trillions of consciousness has already arisen and passed away. So if you think in that sense, it's almost impossible to be aware before the first Javana arise, right? However, we can practice makes perfect, right? We can aware after few Javana is okay, because if the object is still not very clear to you, the karma performed is very light. It doesn't produce next rebirth consciousness. It's only a little bit a heavy karma will produce rebirth consciousness in the next life. So I would like to share with you how to be aware as fast as possible. Before many unwholesome or consciousness rooted in greed, which liking the object, or consciousness rooted in aversion, which dislike the object arise. Okay, if you can if you can practice this one way called, like Buddha taught to Bahiya. When you hear something, you contemplate on hearing only. So the moment the sound impinges your ear, you don't go into the content of the sound. Let's say somebody abuse you. So the moment the sound come impinge to your ear sensitivity, although ear door cognitive process arise and pass away, but you don't analyze the sound. So not so many mind door will arise. You just maybe hearing, and don't go into the content of the sound. Then you don't know what is the sound, what's the meaning of the sound. Then there's no liking or dislike towards that sound. Okay. Similarly, if you see something, if you can practice seeing before you see very clearly, oh, this is the beautiful woman, or before you see very clearly, this is the dressing you like. So before you see very clearly, you just contemplate seeing, and the object is not so clear to you. Maybe no jhana can arise. There's no like and dislike. But it's so difficult, right? It's so difficult to practice this method. It's possible, but very, very difficult. This is the method that Buddha taught Bahiya. And Bahiya, after listening to this, he attained Arahant. You can try. I feel very difficult. For sound, I can do it. But for seeing, I feel so difficult, right? Especially for layperson. You want to see things in order to take action. And whatever you see is so unclear to you. I don't know how you live your life. Right? Okay. Anyway, there's also other method to help you. If we really have to see clearly, before the jhana, before the like and dislike occur. No, if you want to stop liking or dislike to develop further, then there's one way I can share with you. So when you see something, for example, you hear the sound. First, you don't know it's abusive sound. So you hear it very clearly. Then my dog cognitive process, jhana associated with aversion arise in the 7 jhana. You know already, anger has arisen because body become hot already. So at this time, there are many ways to contemplate and to dispel your anger. First, before anger arises, abusive word contact to the ear, you can feeling arise first before anger arises. Buddha says, dependent origination depend on feeling, then craving, or depend on unpleasant feeling, anger arises. So if you can aware of the unpleasant feeling before you go to aversion, then you contemplate that unpleasant feeling as unpleasant feeling. You try to see that unpleasant feeling just a feeling, not yourself. You don't think that I am feeling unpleasant. I am unpleasant. If you feel that I am feeling unpleasant, you make the unpleasant feeling belonging to yourself, that will trigger the anger. But if you just see unpleasant feeling as unpleasant feeling, it comes because of the impingement of the unpleasant sound. And you see it's just a feeling, effect arise, depend on a cause, and then you can see it's impermanent, right? First, you aware unpleasant feeling as unpleasant feeling. Then you aware, mentally you can know it as vanishing. In this way, aversion will not arise because of unpleasant feeling. That you can do it. This is what Buddha taught in the 4 Satipatthana Sutta, 4 foundation of mindfulness. But if you want to prevent the first jhana to arise, I feel it's very, very difficult, because we almost forgot a snap of finger, trillion of consciousness already arise and pass away. Okay. Or you can, when there's pleasant feeling as well. When your eye sees something, then pleasant feeling arises. Then you can if you want, you close your eyes, then contemplate pleasant feeling as pleasant feeling. pleasant feeling is not myself. You contemplate in that way. Pleasant feeling as pleasant feeling is not myself. If pleasant feeling is not yourself, what is the pleasant feeling? It's just the effect of a certain cause. The cause of the impingement of visible object to the eye sensitivity, that trigger the eye consciousness to see, then a pleasant feeling arises. So you see it as a effect of a certain cause, not yourself. Then that pleasant feeling will not obsess your mind and become the craving. That you can do it. That is very easy to do. I often I often teach this with my students. Okay, next.
I'm sure there are a lot of Abhiya in the class will benefit.
Next.
Okay, this comes from Jason. He asks, for each 5-door cognitive process, would it follow with a few cycle of mind-door cognitive process?
Exactly. Yes. As I have shared last week already, each eye door followed by few mind door. And after that, maybe eye door again, then few mind door again. But if you close your eyes, then only mind door, no eye door. Yes.
Okay, we go to the last question now. So this comes from Emma Liu. She asks, when one obtains the first, second, or up to the 5th jhana, is it possible for him or her to have greed, hatred, and illusion?
Okay, when he is in the jhana, for example, I practice anapanasati, then I absorb in the jhana. In the jhana itself, there is no anger, no hatred, and no delusion. But when he emerged from the jhana, nobody can stay in the jhana throughout the life, right? He got to come out to the jhana and to eat, to continue his life. So when he emerged from the jhana, so if he reflect, just now the jhana experience is so peaceful, so blissful, then he start to develop attachment to the jhana. When he develops attachment to the jhana, then will arise greed in him. Although that type of greed is not so dangerous like the greed for sensual desire, right? But still, that greed will prolong his cycle of rebirth if he attached to the jhana. Then, after he emerged from jhana for some time, let's say a few hours later or 1 day later, then the power of his concentration, jhana concentration, drop. And there are any, let's say there are many agreeable, visible objects impinge his eye sensitivity. Then, without guarded by mindfulness, then he will develop liking towards that agreeable, visible form. At the time will arise consciousness rooted in greed. And suppose some unpleasant sound impinge to his ear sensitivity, and his mind because he already come out from jhana, then lost the momentum of the concentration, then the unpleasant sound impinge his ear sensitivity will trigger his aversion if the mind is not guarded by mindfulness. Therefore, what I want to say is, inside the jhana, the greed, lobha, dosa, moha, greed, hatred, and delusion are temporarily suppressed. But after you emerge from the jhana, if your mind do not be guarded, your mind was not guarded by mindfulness. Mindfulness is the protector of the mind. Then anger, delusion, greed will arise. Definitely will arise. Okay? Okay.
Okay, thank you, Sayalay. There were other questions, but they were posted on Facebook and they were answered by the senior student already. So I think, Sayalay, you can proceed with your class for the day.
And thank you for all the senior students to help me to answer. Otherwise, if I answer all your questions, then I cannot finish Abhidhamma class. Okay, there will be a great loss for you. Okay. Okay, in the last class, we have discussed 5-door cognitive process, followed by many bhavanga, then followed by many few mind-door cognitive process. Okay. So, and we also say that in all the wholesome and unwholesome consciousness will happen in the jhana stage. And as the object become clearer and clearer after few mind-door cognitive process, then karma, the wholesome and unwholesome karma become are performed and strengthened when the object become clearer and clearer. Okay, so this is where we stopped last talk. And here I just want to mention few things. Here we say that 17 mind moment ended with registration consciousness. But this not happen all the time. Sometimes registration consciousness will not happen. So whether it happens or not depends on the clarity of the object towards the mind. If the object is extremely clear, then two registration will arise. If the object is not so clear, no registration. Then in the jhana process, no registration. In the supramundane consciousness process, no registration. So it doesn't mean that registration must be there all the time. Okay? This is not so important, but if I don't teach, people will ask. Sometimes I don't want to teach because I don't think important. But if I don't teach, there are many questions about, registration. Okay. Then another point I need to point out is that jhana, 7 jhana, not necessary 7 all the time. Okay. During dying moment, because the heart is very weak, so the jhana cannot run very fast. The jhana can run only 5 times. So only 5 jhana. 7 is normally 7. But in certain occasion, they are 5, especially during dying moment, there are 5 jhana. And in the absorption jhana, there can be millions of jhana. They can be in the supramundane mind-door process. There is only 1 jhana or 2 jhana. But in the sense sphere, so it's very important to know whether it's sense sphere jhana or absorption jhana or supramundane sphere jhana, right? So in the sense sphere jhana, normally 7 only. Okay. And as I have mentioned already, all this jhana are the same type, performed by the same type of consciousness. For example, jhana number 1 is one consciousness accompanied by joy associated with wrong view, unwholesome consciousness, right? And this unwholesome consciousness will arise 7 times, same consciousness 7 times. Okay, but if this consciousness is one consciousness accompanied by joy associated with knowledge prompted, then this consciousness will arise 7 times. Same consciousness arise, pass away, arise, pass away, arise, pass away for 7 times at the jhana stage. This is an important point that you got to remember. Okay. Okay, now a question for you. What are the consciousness, cittas, that occur in sense sphere jhanas? We already learned there are 54 sense sphere jhavanas, right? So what are the citta that occur in sense sphere jhavana? This is the reason why the citta come as topic, first topic. Without understand the 89 jhavana, it's almost impossible to proceed in the second chapter, in the third chapter, in the fourth chapter. Because consciousness is a very basic things, and consciousness is important to be aware of an object. So without understanding consciousness, you cannot study Abhidhamma at all. Okay. Therefore, let us investigate what are the cittas that occur in sense sphere jhavana. Number one is 8 wholesome citta associated with wrong view. Remember, under 54 sense sphere consciousness, there are 12 unwholesome consciousness. 8 rooted. I think, sorry, number one should be 12, not the 8. Sorry, 12 unwholesome citta. 12 unwholesome citta. This 8 mean rooted in greed. There are another 2 greed rooted in hatred. Another 2 rooted in delusion. So, sorry, this is my mistake. So 12 unwholesome consciousness that can occur in the sense sphere jhavana. Okay, and there are 8 wholesome citta associated with knowledge or dissociated with knowledge. 4 associated with knowledge, 4 dissociated with knowledge. Okay, these are some mistake for my writing here. So there are 8 wholesome citta, 4 associated with knowledge, 4 dissociated with knowledge. Okay, and there are also 8 functional citta experienced by Arahant. When Arahant perform teaching the Dhamma, Arahant enter into jhana. Arahant preach the Dhamma, Arahant offer the services to the Buddha, and so on. So they are also, this also happen in the jhavana, but they are the 8 functionals. And another one is called smile producing citta. When Buddha see a couple of beggars, the Buddha smile. At that time, this smile producing citta happen in the jhavana. So there are 12 unwholesome plus 10, 20, plus 8 and 1. So all 29. 29 citta that occur in sense sphere jhavana. Okay. If you forget, let me tell you. Previously, we have studied sense sphere 54 sense sphere consciousness, right? So there are 12 here happen in the jhavana. And under 24 beautiful, there are 8 wholesome. And the resultant is not under jhavana, is under bhavanga. And here 8 resultant is under bhavanga and rebirth consciousness and death consciousness. This functional 8 are under jhavana. Okay. So 12 here plus 8, 20 plus 8, 28 plus 1 smiling producing consciousness. These are 29 under jhavana. Okay. Sometimes it's also important to remember all this 29. Otherwise, when I explain, you cannot follow what I say. Okay. Now, so there are 12 unwholesome citta that occur in the jhavana. And this 12 unwholesome citta performs unwholesome karma in three forms. In the form of body, speech, and mind. So what are the unwholesome karma performed in sense sphere jhavana by 12 unwholesome citta. So if under the body they are killing, taking was not given, sexual misconduct. So if one perform killing or taking was not given, sexual misconduct, all this will be performed in the Javana stage by one of the 12 unwholesome citta. Okay, and in a speech, unwholesome karma performed by speech is telling lies, slandering, harsh speech, and frivolous talk. All this also performed under 12 unwholesome citta at Javana stage. Okay, there are another 3 unwholesome mental karma performed in sense sphere Javana by 12 unwholesome citta. Okay, there's covetousness. You long for other people's property, called covetousness. Ill will, mentally you hate other people, you wish other people to be harmed. This is called ill will. Okay, wrong view. You have the view of you don't believe in the law of karma, and you believe in the permanent soul that transmigrate from one life to another life. This is also called wrong view. So when you harbor all this type of view, then it's called unwholesome mental karma performed by unwholesome cittas. Performed by 12 unwholesome cittas. Okay. Next. And there are also wholesome karma performed in sense sphere Javana by 8 wholesome citta. 8 wholesome citta, 4 associated with knowledge, 4 dissociated. You have to remember all this citta, especially wholesome and unwholesome. Okay. So if we abstain from killing, non-killing, non-taking what's not given, or abstain from sexual misconduct, all these are called wholesome karma performed in sense sphere Javana by 8 wholesome cittas. Okay, and also speech. We abstain from telling lies, slandering, harsh speech, and abstain from frivolous talk. All these are called wholesome karma performed by wholesome citta. And mind, sorry, these are non-covetousness, non-ill will, and right view. Okay, all these are, sorry for the wrong words. So non-covetousness, non-ill will, or metta. Then having the right view about the law of karma and so on. Then all these are called wholesome mental karma. They are all performed by the 8 wholesome consciousness in the sense field. Okay. There's another set of wholesome deeds we call base of meritorious deeds. Also performed by the 8 wholesome consciousness. 8 wholesome consciousness, 4 dissociated from knowledge, 4 associated with knowledge. Dissociated from knowledge, 4 associated with knowledge. So giving, dana, this is very common practice by all Buddhists. Virtue, we keep the 5 precepts. Meditation, we practice samatha and vipassana meditation. Reverence, you respectful. You are very respectful to the monastic, to the elders, to those who deserve your respect. Okay, services. And most Buddhists like to offer services to the temple, to the monks, to the nuns, and so on, and to the non-profit center, also called services. Then transfer of merit. Whatever good deed we have performed, we like to share with other people. This is also a good wholesome deed. And rejoicing in others' merit. This is the most easy things to do. When you've seen somebody doing some good deed, you just say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu with happiness. Then you gain 1 merit. Very easy things to do. However, because in our mind, there's there is jealousy. So sometimes instead of rejoicing in others' merit, we have the jealousy. And jealousy is under the root of anger. So if you don't rejoice in others' merit and become jealous of others, then the consciousness rooted in anger will arise in jhana for many, many times. Okay? Then hearing the Dhamma, like what you do now, you are concentrate on my talk, hearing the Dhamma, trying to understand all this higher meritorious state, also performed by the 8 wholesome citta in the sense field. Okay? Then teaching the Dhamma, like what I'm doing now. I'm also cultivating very highly meritorious state in the wholesome consciousness associated with knowledge. Okay. Then the 10 is straighthening out one's view. Whatever wrong view you have, try to dispel it, remove it, and make your view very straight and right. It's called straightening out one's view. All these 10 we call base of meritorious state are under jhana performed by one of the 8 wholesome consciousness. Okay. Okay. Now I will continue sharing about this jhana. Okay. As we say, wholesome and unwholesome consciousness occur in the jhana stage, and they leave behind karmic force. Each wholesome and unwholesome karma leave behind karmic potency. So with respect to timing of result, each karma, wholesome and unwholesome, also leave the karmic potency. So with respect to timing when this karma or when the resultant occur. So with respect to the timing of result, there are 4. Okay. One is called current life effective karma. Next, life effective karma, and indefinitely effective karma, and defunct karma. Okay. And which jhana play the role of immediately or current life effective karma? In the 7 jhana, the first jhana here play the roles of or generates current life, or we call immediately effective karma, kamma or karma, which can only produce its effect in this very life. If this karma does not produce its effect, it becomes defunct karma. Defunct karma means non-operative karma. Okay. And the 7, I would like to give an example. Okay. So suppose during Buddha's time, there was a garland maker called Malika. Malika is a daughter of garland maker. One day, she brought some food to participate, wishing to go to some festival. On the way, she met a monk holding a bowl with very serene complexion. So she was very happy by seeing a monk holding a bowl coming for Pindapat on the way of Pindapata, baking food. So she was very, very happy, and spontaneously she offered all her food without keeping some for herself. Offer all her food to the monk. And she does not, at that time she did not know this monk is Buddha, because she never met Buddha before. So she offered all the food spontaneously with joy to the monk. So under this condition, what type of consciousness that arises at the jhana stage? There is one consciousness, one wholesome consciousness accompanied by joy associated with knowledge, prompted. Unprompted, unprompted. Spontaneously called unprompted. So this wholesome consciousness will run 7 times at the Javana stage here. Run 7 times at the Javana stage here. Each Javana will produce its result when the time comes. When the time comes. But if it's the first Javana that produce result, it will produce current life effective karma, which can only produce its effect in this very life. And for the Malika's case, her offering to the Buddha, and this first Javana immediately produced its effect. So after she finished offering, then she was very happy, happy over her offering, and she sang a song along the way. She sang a song along the way, and this, at that time, then the king, one of the king, stay in the garden and suddenly listen to that song. And I think it's King Pasanadi. Sorry, I forgot the name already. Okay, Savatthi, the king of Savatthi, I think. So the king was very impressed by the song, and then the king approached to the lady, to Malika. The moment the king saw Malika, I think owing to the past karma, so the king fell in love with Malika. Then he asked Malika, have you married? Malika said no. Okay, then follow me to the palace. Immediately, he appointed the Malika as a queen. So you see, this is called immediately or current life effective karma, which is generated by first Javana here. Okay, and this first Javana is among the 7 Javana, the first Javana is the weakest. Why is the weakest? Because it's not reinforced by the previous Javana. You see, the previous Javana is my door averting consciousness, right? So it's not reinforced by the previous Javana. Therefore, it just arises. When whatever just arises, it's not so strong yet. Just the baby, just like a newborn child, his physical is not so strong yet because just arrived in the world, right? Same thing. So first Javana is the weakest Javana. Therefore, it only generates current life effective karma. Then the second Javana, third Javana, fourth Javana, fifth Javana, sixth Javana are most powerful one. Why? Because the second Javana was reinforced by the first Javana, same consciousness. And also through the behind number third, fourth, sixth, through repetition, then it gains the power. It becomes stronger and stronger. But when it reaches the 7th Javana, the last Javana, the power or the force become weak again, slow down again. And it's not supported by the the next consciousness. The next consciousness is registering consciousness, right? It's not Javana. So it's not the same consciousness. Therefore, when the Javana reached number 7, the last Javana, the force become slow down and become weak again. Therefore, number 7 Javana become the second weakest, and this 7 Javana generates subsequently effective karma, which can produce its result in the immediate future life. I will give an example. I had one friend, a fellow nun, who was English nun. she told me her story. In her past life, not immediately past life, one of her past life, she was man deva, deity, human, heavenly being, male deity. And the male deity felt in love with one female deity. After some times, the female deity don't want, abandon him and went after another more powerful man or deva. And this, my friend, the first male deva get very, very angry because he was betrayed, something like that. He was betrayed, so he get very angry. For deva, their body is very subtle compared with a human being. So when deva get a lot of anger, the fire element, is so too strong to cope with the subtle body is too weak to cope with the strong fire element produced by anger. So immediately his life faculty is cut off. And because he get very angry at that moment, what consciousness that occur at the jhana stage? There is one consciousness accompanied by displeasure, associated with aversion, right? So this anger-rooted consciousness happens 7 times at the jhana stage here. But only the 7th jhana, the last jhana, generate his subsequently effective karma that produce his result in the next life. Then he was reborn as hungry ghost. She told me when she was my friend, she told me that I was reborn in a very dark place. Then I realized I became a hungry ghost. So while she was deva, heavenly beings, and because of anger, they happen in the jhana stage. Then his life was cut off, and the 7th jhana, number 7, number 7 jhana produced his result in a hungry ghost. This is called subsequently effective karma. Okay. In between number 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. 2nd through 6th jhana generates indefinitely effective karma, which can produce its effect at any time along samsara until one reaches parinibbana. Okay. So when this karma ripen, when that ripening occur, it will produce mind and matter at the rebirth linking moment after 2nd life onward. After 2nd life onward, as well as it can produce many residual karma along the life. So not only produce rebirth consciousness, also produce many misery or good fortune in one's along the life. Okay. As long as that karma does not give its result, number 2nd to number 6th jhana, as long as this karma does not give result, its force will underlie the continuity of mind and matter. And such karma never becomes defunct as long as the rounds of rebirth go on. Not even a Buddha or Arahant is free from experiencing its result. Only at the time of one's final cessation, parinibbana, is the karmic potency of those previous jhana, number 2nd to number 6, finally extinguished. So long. So in this case, we as human beings not yet achieve parinibbana. There are so many resultant karma. There are so many resultant consciousness, witting or lying, or sleeping, waiting to wake up when the time matured. Because along the samsara, we have been performed so many good karma or unwholesome karma, right? All live the karmic force. And this karmic force will never become expired. It's just lying there, waiting for the opportunity to emerge. So if the good karma ripen, then you experience blissful life, everything, happy, everything is pleasant. But if the unwholesome karma that meet with favorable condition, then it produce unwholesome resultant, then we have to suffer accordingly. So there are abundance of karma, waiting to become ripened for us to experience the result. Okay. So for the second, through the sixth jhana, how it produce result in how it produce result in a life after second life, and how it produce result along one's life. I will give an example of Mahamoggallana. This is very frightening example. Mahamoggallana, as we know, how Mahamoggallana, the great disciple, the left-hand great, top disciple of the Buddha, he was foremost in psychic power, right? Foremost in psychic power, and one day, he was very famous during Buddha's time because he quite often showed us psychic power to show people. If you do bad, you go to hell. So his psychic power is able to open up the hell to let human beings to see how beings suffer in the hell. And sometimes he uses psychic power to open up the sky, the heaven, to let people to see how heavenly beings enjoy happiness in the heaven. And at that time, he will tell people, okay, how to go to heaven? You got to keep 5 precepts. You got to, be good person, do charity, do dana more, and listen to talk and dhamma and so on. Then you see, then when he opened the hell, he told people, then you see why these people suffer in the hell? Because they do bad things. So you should abstain from fight, abstain from killing, stealing, and so on. Therefore, Mahamoggallana is very famous during Buddha's time. Once you become famous, then there will be jealousy. There will be some jealousy come from your opponent. So the different sects of religion feel very jealous about Buddha's teaching and his top disciple. So they employ some bandits, robbers to kill Mahamoggallana. So one day, while Mahamoggallana was in the kuti, in a kuti and meditating, and this gang of robbers came to his house, wanting to kill him. Before they came close, Mahamoggallana, by his psychic power, he knew already, this group of robbers wanted to kill me. So he immediately entered into 4th jhana, then performed his psychic power, then he fly away from the roof of the kuti and disappeared. So when a gang of robbers come in, cannot see him. Nobody. Then they went back and wait for the second time. So second time they come again. At that time, Mahamoggallana also knew through his psychic power. So this time he performed his psychic power, then he escaped from the keyhole of the door. There's the hole in the door. So he escaped that from the keyhole. The third time, the robber came again, and Mongalana knew again. When he wanted to perform his psychic power to run away, to escape, but this time he failed. He cannot enter into fourth jhana. He cannot enter into jhana. If you cannot enter into jhana, you cannot perform your psychic power. So when he cannot enter into his jhana, then the robber came into the house, and that all of them beat him, beat the Mahamoggallana until his skull was crushed into pieces. But he did not die yet. Why? Some people say, how come when you were beaten, your skull was beaten into pieces, crushed? How come you did not die? This is because, according to the law, for being a top disciple, if you want to enter any top disciple, Mahamoggallana and Sariputta, if they want to enter into Parinibbana, they have to ask permission from the Buddha first. Without asking permission from the Buddha, they cannot enter into Parinibbana. For this reason, Mahamoggallana was not dead. So when the robber went away, thinking that he had died, so the Mahamoggallana, after the robber went away, he resumed his psychic power. Only then, now he can resume his psychic power. Then he, make his body complete again. Then he fly, using psychic power, fly to the Buddha and ask Buddha to let him enter into Parinibbana. Only then he passed away and died. Okay, so here, from this story, we understand even psychic power cannot fight with the ripening of the karma. Okay, then you may curious what karma that Mahamoggallana did that caused such misery to him. So in one of his lifetime, he was a farmer, and he had his parents are blind. Both mom and daddy, father and mother are blind person. So then his wife, tired of taking care of his blind parent, persuaded him to kill his parent, to kill his blind parent. Of course, Moggallana will not do that. But after so many times persuaded by his wife, finally Mahamoggallana in his previous life, okay, he give in to his wife and decided to kill his blind parent. So he brought his blind parent to a forest. On the way, he told his parent, please stay here for a while, I will come back soon. Then he came back with I don't know what to call, he came back with wood, a piece of wood, and he pretended himself as a robber, and he shouted, he said that robber is coming, robber is coming. And then he approached his blind parent and beat them up to death. There are two different endings of the story. In the Dhammapada and the Jataka. This story is mentioned in the Dhammapada and in the Jataka. So one, I think Jataka said that he beat his parent up to death. And maybe Dhammapada said that he beat into parent very seriously, but not dying. Okay, anyway, so you can imagine in a blink of the eyes, trillions of consciousness rooted in anger will arise in Mahamoggallana's previous life, his mind, because he beat his parents. Let's say he beat 3 minutes or 5 minutes. So in a snap of finger, trillions of consciousness arise and pass away. So within 3 minutes or 5 minutes, how many billions, trillions of consciousness rooted in anger arise and pass away? And how many karmic potency have left? How much karmic potency have left behind under this jhana rooted in anger? Incountable, right? You cannot count. Uncountable, you cannot count it. So immediately that life, Mahamoggallana as a killer, he died and reborn in hell. And if reborn in hell is generated by 7 jhana, generate subsequent effective karma, which produce his result in the immediate future life. So he was reborn in hell and suffered million thousand of years. After he suffered the heaviest karma, he escaped from hell and reborn as human being successively 200 lifetimes. He died of being bitten, his scar, being bitten into pieces, die as a result of his bad karma. So he beat his parent, maybe his skull, he beat his parent. Now he reaped what he sowed. So he died for 200 lifetime, the skull being crushed. This karma, this resultant is generated by second through 6th jhana. And if Mahamoggallana did not enter into Paridimana yet, let's say, now he's still alive, let's say, he not yet entered into Paridimana. And this second jhana and the 6th jhana will continuing bear its result. And Mahamoggallana will remain with the bad result when the karma ripen. Of course, the karma may not ripen every life, right? Sometimes the good karma ripen, bad karma does not ripen. But as long as we are in the samsara, that karma will follow us, will follow our mind and mental continuity, waiting for the opportunity to ripen. This is how frightening or terrible of the unwholesome resultant that we have to face along the round of rebirth. Okay, so now you understand each jhana will produce its result either in the current life, in the life after, or along the samsara before we reach Paridimana. After you reach Paridimana, no more rebirth. When there's no rebirth, no result will happen to the mind and body, because there's no more mind and body to be reborn. Then how can the resultant take place? For the resultant to take place, you need mind and body. You need a person and mind and body. But after Paridimana, there's no more rebirth, there's no more mind and body. Therefore, all the karma become defunct karma, become non-operative. For this reason, why the Buddha in Theravada, why Buddha urged us to practice until become Arahant. Buddha did not urge us to become Buddha, to aspire to become Buddha. However, Buddha urged us to practice hard in order to become Arahant, so that we can escape from all the unwholesome resultant. This is one of the reasons why Buddha urged us become Arahant more than become Buddha. Because to become Buddha, you need, 4 asankheya and 100,000 kappa to become the Buddha, the shortest way to become the Buddha. And among the 4 asankheya and 100,000 kappa, there can be many unresultant, unwholesome resultant ripen that we have to suffer accordingly and have to suffer very, very long time. Okay, if you want to know this better, you can go to my book and you can read. And I have given many stories in my book. You can read from the page 47, then up to page 55. There are many practical examples and the way how to teach you to overcome the unwholesome consciousness. Okay. Now I have a question for you. Okay. An action done once. They say wholesome action or unwholesome action. So an action done once can produce effect over incalculable lifetime, right? Why? For what reason? Why? Why an action done once not only produce one result, instead it produce incalculable result in a lifetime, or it produce incalculable lifetime. For what reason? Simply because of the repetition of the jhana. You must always remember, in a snap of finger, trillions of jhana has arisen and passed away. And through the reinforcement of each jhana also, then it leaves behind incalculable resultant along mind and matter continuity, just waiting for the right time to produce result. Therefore, it's vital to know one's own defilements are one's own greatest enemy. Because defilements happen in the form of mental. It's not in the form of physical. Physical cannot perform karma if there's no mind, there's no consciousness ask the body to do, right? So all the great hatred and delusion are in the form of consciousness, more precisely in the form of mental factors, which we know yet, which I know yet teach. So to stop, if we don't want to bear the undesirable resultant, then we have to guard our mind, right? Because defilements, great hatred and delusion happen in the form of the mind. So in order to guard our mind, so we will not perform unwholesome karma, what should we do? This is a very important question. This is the reason why we should practice the Dhamma, right? So in order to guard the mind, we need mindfulness. To guard the mind, not to perform unwholesome action, we need mindfulness to guard our mind. Mindfulness of what? Mindfulness of the mind. Let's say I give you an example. Let's say greed has arisen in you, right? And greed, let's say one consciousness accompanied by joy. Let's say you are eating. One consciousness accompanied by joy, associated with wrong view, prompted or unprompted. So when you are eating, you enjoy the food very, very much. and you do know it is unwholesome action, unwholesome karma. That's why associated with wrong view. You don't even know it's unwholesome. So you enjoy it, and you perform a lot of unwholesome karma. Now you start to learn Abhidhamma. Oh, you know, oh yeah, it is unwholesome, and you will give a lot of unwholesome karma. You will leave behind a lot of unwholesome result. Then you start to be careful, careful while you are eating. So when the moment the food touches the tongue, you feel pleasant, and you forget to mindful of pleasant feeling, and the pleasant feeling trigger the greed. Now you start mindful already. Since you learn Abhidhamma, you start to be mindful. Okay, then how should you be mindful of your mind rooted in greed? Then you watch the mind. Mentally you say, mind affected by greed. Mind affected by greed. You don't say I'm greedy, I'm greedy. Don't bring in the I am. Okay, you just see mind affected by greed as mind affected by greed. You just see it as a mental state. You don't see it as yourself. This is important, right view. This is very important. Very not only important, it's very skillful, powerful way of contemplating the mind. So you see, mind is affected by greed as mind affected by greed. This is called mindfulness of your mind. Then you hold on to it, watch it, watch the mind affected by greed for a few times. Watch it silently. Then you will see the power of the greed lessen, reduce, become less and less, less and less, then disappear. If it does not disappear, you can mentally say vanishing. Vanishing of what? Vanishing of the mind affected by greed. Then you mentally note vanishing, vanishing, vanishing. Then you see the mind affected by greed again, whether it's still there or it already gone. If it already gone, then you don't have to, then the unwholesome jhana will stop. Then you don't create more unwholesome karma, right? Similarly, when somebody, you hear the abusive word, somebody criticize you, tell something you don't like, or you have argument with your friend, and you attach to your view and so on. So when there is anger, displeasure that arise in your mind, then you just be mindful of your mind. Mentally say, mind affected by hatred as mind affected by hatred, or angry mind as angry mind. Okay, whatever words you use. Angry mind as angry mind. Look at the mind. Be mindful of that mental state without reacting to that state of the mind. Mindfulness itself has no reaction. You purely observe angry mind as angry mind without reacting to angry mind, without add more ingredient to angry mind and make it hotter. No. Don't put chili to the angry mind. Okay? So after that, you check again whether the angry mind is still there or not. Sometimes the power of the anger has become less and less, then gone. Sometimes it may even become more angry, you don't know. So you just check. After you check, if it's still there, you can just mentally say vanishing, 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 and check whether it's still there or not. This is how, when it's gone, then the consciousness rooted in anger in jhana subside completely. Then you don't perform so many unwholesome karma. So this is one of the way you can guide your mind through mindfulness of the mind. Okay. Okay, there are many other ways. Other ways you can help. Since we know each unwholesome jhana will leave behind current life effective karma, each jhana generate current life effective karma or indefinitely effective karma or next life effective karma. If it is the good karma, leave behind good resultant, that is welcome by all of us. Unfortunately, we also perform a lot of bad karma in our previous life. So all this bad karma, unwholesome karma, waiting for the chance to ripen. That cannot be cannot be erased already. Whatever bad karma we have performed cannot be erased anymore. But we can prevent new bad karma to be. We can prevent not to do the new bad karma. How to do? Right effort. Right effort in cultivating good mind states. Effort is very important. Okay. First, we can prevent the arising of evil, knowing the danger of evil or unwholesome consciousness. So to prevent the arising of unwholesome consciousness, you need the effort. We call effort to prevent the arising of unwholesome. How to do it? The most effective way is guard your senses. Guard your senses by way of mindfulness, or by one of the way we call gochara sampajanya. Gochara sampajanya means clear comprehension of posture. The meaning is wherever you go, whether you are asleep, lying, talking, standing, you put your mind, or you focus your mind, or you keep your attention with one meditation subject. Let's say anapanasati, right? So when you go from your home to the station, when you are standing waiting for go to the restaurant, waiting, queue up, and so on, you keep your mind on your breath. Keep your attention on the breath. This is called guarding the mind. Gochara sampajanya. You keep your mind mindful of your one meditation subject, so that your mind will not create a lot of great hatred and delusion while seeing, hearing, or tasting, touching, or thinking. Then you prevent the arising of unwholesome thought. I mentioned this in my book very clearly. If I go to explain, then I may not be able to finish my Abhidhamma course. So please read my book, Unraveling the Mystery of Mind and Body. Second, to discard evil. So sometimes due to unmindfulness, we cannot have mindfulness all the time. We may have only 20% of mindfulness in a day, sometimes even less than 25%. So because due to unmindfulness, then there's some thoughts connected with anger, connected with hatred, greed, connected with delusion arise in us. At that time, we need effort to discard all this unwholesome thought. How to discard it? In the Majjhima Nikaya, Sutta 20, the 5 ways to remove distracting thoughts. Give you the 5 ways. Majjhima Nikaya, Sutta 20. Give you 5 ways to discard or to remove the unwholesome thoughts that arise in the jhana. I can tell 1 or 2 ways. The rest you read yourself. The first way is to, let's say, to replace the unwholesome thought with the wholesome thought, with the opposite mental state. Let's say, greed arise towards the opposite sex. Sometimes, the mind sees the beautiful woman, the handsome man, then your mind start to run wild. Then how to discard that lustful thought? There are two ways in Buddha's meditation. One is to contemplate on 32 parts of the body. You can take the opposite sex body and see and divide his body into 32 parts. This is called one of the meditation subject. We call 32 parts under the contemplation of the body in Satipatthana Sutta. So you say head, hair, body hair, nail, teeth, skin, until the last one, urine. So if you keep on, contemplate his body as make up by head, hair, body hair, nail, teeth, skin, saliva, pus, blood, urine, feces, undigested food, sweat, then all your lustful thoughts subside, because what you see is just a heap of repulsiveness. Okay? Another way is to see the opposite sex body as skeleton. I want to share with you one very interesting story. You may think it's very difficult to do, but to my surprise, my student can do it very well. So there was many years ago, I was my friend introduced me to one deputy minister. So this deputy minister told me that he has very strong lustful thought when he go for haircut. He said that inside the shop there are so many beautiful young stylists. They're wearing very short skirt and moving in front of him here and there, moving around. He said that as a man, I just cannot cope with it. There are a lot of lustful thought arise in me, a lot of imagining and lustful thought. However, he is able to control himself not to have sexual misconduct with them. But this struggling also takes away lots of his energy. So he asked me, sister, what should I do? Do you have any way to help me to overcome my lustful thought? So I teach him how to practice skeleton meditation, right? I say that you go back and go to online, go to Google and search one skeleton, an ugly one, not beautiful one. Beautiful one also can produce lustful thought. So you take one ugly skeleton picture, okay? Then you keep looking at the picture and mentally say repulsiveness, or skeleton, or skeleton is repulsive. Then when that object appears in your mind, when you close the eye, and that repulsiveness of that skeleton appear in your mind, then you can close your eye already. Then mentally say repulsiveness, while keeping that skeleton in the mind. So if you practice this every day, so you can go for your haircut. So he practiced what I say. Then one day he went to the haircut. Then while keeping the skeleton in his mind, when he see all this young, beautiful stylist, then he project out the repulsiveness of the skeleton into their body. At that moment, he told me that what he saw are skeleton moving in front of him. No more beautiful stylist, no more beautiful young woman. And because what he see is only skeleton, he said that no lustful thought arise in him since then. You see, he is not my regular disciple. I just meet him twice. Once is to teach him skeleton, and second time I met him, he told me his experience and offer me food for lunch. So if you practice the 32 parts as well as skeleton meditation. So you can use it when the last thought arises in your jhana, and you can change unwholesome jhana into wholesome jhana. I think I'm unable to finish my cognitive process, so I have to continue in next lecture, because I still have cognitive process that happen in a jhana state, in a supramundane state, that need another maybe 30 minutes to explain. Okay. So to next lesson, I will continue 30 minutes to finish my chapter 4, cognitive process. And thank you for attending, for spending your time to attend this class. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Here I will share merit with all of you. Etavata cha ammehi sampadang punya sampadang sappe deva sappe bhutta sappe satta anumodantu sabba sampati siddhya akasata cha bummata deva naga mahidika punyatang anumoditva jirang rakkantu sasanang jirang rakkantu desanang jirang rakkantu mang paranti. May the merit acquired to this listening to the Dhamma or teaching the Dhamma. May all of you be blessed by the triple gem. Guard your mind and grow wisdom, and may your wisdom grow in depth. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May all of you be well and happy.